Hey guys, like, comment, subscribe. We're back with our second most unfortunate type of videos, another injury report. First one was on Chris Clemens after a torn Achilles. Similar type of injury. Spencer Dinwiddie goes down with a torn ACL for the remainder of the year.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Chris Clemens does not have the effect or impact on his team as Spencer Dinwiddie does. Dinwiddie was going to be that third star that Brooklyn needed, or wanted to be that third star that Brooklyn needed. Or at the very least, he was going to be included in a trade for a third star. To me, Brooklyn's ceiling just got capped. Dream team gone, Brooklyn. And Dinwiddie is a major part of that team, as much as Durant and Kyrie Irving are the star players. Dinwiddie led that team to the playoffs last year without those players. Led that team to the playoffs the year before without those players. Dinwiddie's a great player. Is he going to come back the same? I don't know. A torn ACL, he's a player who relies a lot on his athletic ability. He's not the best shooter in the league. He's a great playmaker, and he's a very athletic player. Well, he's getting older now. Now he's not going to play until he's 29. And coming back from that torn ACL, he's going to come back, and he's still going to be an above-average player. But it just hurts Brooklyn so much for this year. And it puts them in a situation where they either are going to accept the year and accept that they're not as much of a championship contender, or they're going to trade Dinwiddie, which is probably the most likely situation at this point. But now they're going to have to give up more assets because Dinwiddie's value just went down. So to get any kind of equal player or better player, it's going to take them more than what it would have taken before to bring in that third star that you're probably replacing Dinwiddie with either way.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to be as detrimental for them just because overall this year they've looked pretty good and Dinwiddie really hasn't. He's
Look
averaged
bad.
Yeah, he's averaged under 7 points per game, not because necessarily that he's been bad. I mean, he still shot, I believe, around 50%, 2 for 6, 2 for 6, or yeah, so a bit under, but still, it's not like he's been playing awful. He just really hasn't got the opportunity, which we talked about in our top 25. So that's something that I think Brooklyn will be fine, but I'm with you in the page that in the long term, what it probably makes more likely is that some type of trade will happen around Spencer Dinwiddie because even though, like you said, his values went down, he still does have value. And there's going to be a lower end team. Even if the Houston Rockets decide, hey, we're not contenders this year, we're going to trade Harden, it might even make that trade more likely because we knew Dinwiddie would be a likely piece. And now what Houston has the option to is either evaluate the team this year and obviously not have to worry about Wall and Dinwiddie meshing. And then you could decide next offseason, you know what, you could retrade Dinwiddie because in terms of days on the team, he's already going to be there enough times to retrade his contract. So I think it's definitely increases the likelihood he moves because Brooklyn is in a situation where they want to win, and I don't see why they keep a guy on IR all year whenever he is such a significant piece, and they're still going to get something. They could tie something together to still get something decent for him.
I just don't see him getting a lot for Dinwiddie compared to what they would have gotten before.
Oh, for sure.
So it's hurt so much. I don't see him in the contention for James Harden anymore. I just don't see that happening because James Harden's going to take so much more than what they were already going to get. And he's actually unrestricted free agent. He has one more year on his contract, the next year, but next year the player option. He can opt out. This could be the last year of his contract. His value is shot to shit. Like they're not getting anything for him outside of maybe a Kelly Oubre type of player. That might put up dead stats, but is it going to be beneficial to that team? It's hard to say. As much as is anyone going to come in unless they are willing to give up LeVert and Dinwiddie? Is anyone going to be better than the production that those two players are going to put up if they were healthy? Probably not. To me, it actually opens up a lot of the other teams in the Eastern Conference are now going to see it as open. They're not going to see Brooklyn make this big trade for a superstar. They just don't have the assets to get that right now, knowing that Dinwiddie's going to could possibly opt out of his contract. And outside of Dinwiddie, he was their best asset outside of the big stars. So it's hard to say.
I don't think anyone would trade for him without the discussion prior with the agent of if he would resign there based on the fact that He's not going to have any contribution this year. That would just be a bonehead move of any GM. Regardless, though, his value definitely does go down.
It's
It's definitely very unfortunate for Spencer Dinwiddie, unfortunate for the Brooklyn Nets because, again, as bad as or as not great as he's looked this year, at some point he probably was going to put it together. And we've seen what happens when you lose one of your main depth guys. I mean, look at the Golden State Warriors. They arguably lost the title because even though they still had Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green,
they
DeMar.
didn't have Durant.
Exactly. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't lose one of those key guys and expect to win like
No,
you're saying. But
exactly, you need them. But I could definitely see this opening up. Teams like Toronto, Miami, Boston, Philly now saying, okay, Milwaukee didn't get better. They lost depth. We're in a short year. Brooklyn just lost one of their key players. Eastern Conference is open again. This is essentially 2 years ago whenever LeBron left the conference, and Dinwiddie's not at all to that level. But what I'm saying is just that impact of losing a main player so early in the season for such a long period of time. It just opens up the competitiveness for these Eastern Conference. I'm expecting one of the other teams to do a big trade just as quickly as Brooklyn will.
possibly, like I said, I still think they'll be fine. But regardless, guys, let us know what you think. Like, comment, subscribe. We'd hope not too many more of these videos are made, but we know they do happen. Yeah, it definitely sucks for Brooklyn, sucks for
Yep.
Dinwiddie. Contract, potential contract year, like you mentioned too. But anything is possible. We've seen Gordon Hayward get a lot of money, so it's
And
Spencer.
Dinwiddie signed for 12 million next year, so he's
Exactly.
probably opting out either way.
Yeah, he's probably still going to get a raise even with this
Yeah,
injury. Just probably not as much based off what he could have done. But definitely let us
exactly.
know what you guys think.